what is release planning? Does it something like trigger, Tejita, Michael?
Oh, release planning?
Release planning.
Oh, whenever a certain software or something could be applied, it's
Mm-hmm.
when after the testing and everything is done, I think,
Correct.
uh, when it's going to be integrated into the environment, I think, right?
Correct. Correct. So, Tejita, do you have also the similar understanding?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
So before that, let me environment. Okay. So there are different environments are used in the corporate or the any development, right? The the first one is development environment where developers are actually developing the code. Okay. Once their code development is done, so they move that to this QA environment. And QA environment, this testing happens. Okay. And testing is done, then the software is moved to production environment. Production environment means where actually actual users are using the system. Correct?
Yes.
So this is how so developers are working in the development environment. They do their coding, testing, and once they are satisfied, they move the software to QA environment. So QA, quality assessment, when it comes to quality QA environment, then the testing will be done either by the business or by the tester, whoever doing the testing, and they will give the sign off, if they have any issue. If they have issue, then they will create these kind of defect. If there is no issue, then the testing sign off will be there. Once testing sign off is there, then it's a green signal for us to inform the development team to release. And when we say release, means moving the software to the production environment. That is what is called release. Okay.
Mhm.
And release means the actual user can use once we deploy in the production environment. So what happens? So any story on which we are working, it has a life cycle, right? If I write the story today, if development start in the next sprint, so we need to have that plan, the when the story will be released. So normally how it works. So for example, let me correlate with this our story. Okay. So let's take one example of our sprint. So our sprint is getting over when? So we have created a sprint, right? So this sprint one is getting over 19 Jan. Okay. This is past data, but whenever we are planning, we will be planning for the current sprint. So for example, let's take 19 Jan only. Is it fine? Can I take, or it will be confusing?
No, it's
No,
fine.
no, no.
That's fine, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So my sprint says by 19th January, Lulu 2, 3, and 4. These three story will be completed. Okay.
Mhm.
So by 19th Jan, three stories are completed. Okay. Now once develop, so when I say 19 January means what? So 19 January means this development task is getting completed. Okay.
Yep.
After that, we will be talking about QA environment. Correct.
Mhm.
So after that, again, in corporate, we plan for 2 weeks of time, because whoever are the tester, or if business is doing the testing on their own, then they need minimum 2 or 3 weeks of time. So whatever time they need, based on that, our testing time we have to keep in hand. Okay. So by 19 Jan, 3 stories development completed. Okay. By which date for these 3 stories testing will be completed. Okay. So now you need to get that clarity, like, that if business is doing the testing, so they need 2 weeks of time, 3 weeks of time. Whoever is the testing team, you need to get that clarity from them, how much time they need once we give the, developed code to them for testing. Let's take 2 or 3 weeks of time, which normally, the business people take. Okay. So 19th January onwards, the first week 26th January, second week 2nd February, third week 9th February. Okay. So by 9th February, this testing will be completed.
Mhm.
This point is clear till now?
Yep, it is.
Okay. Okay. Now, once 19th February, this testing will be completed. Any, sign off will be given, and any. So see, one more thing we have to little, careful here. When we say that testing will be completed by 9th Feb, it does not mean, that the issues will be reported after 9th Feb. Testing will be completed by 9th Feb. This means, like, any testing done, any issue identified, that also needs to be sorted by 9th February. So that is how it works. Okay. So if they are doing the testing and they, they identify any issue, they will create the bug ticket, and then developer has to rework on the story, and then again, hand it over for testing. So the whole cycle will come for, should get over by 9th February. And sometimes that is the reason, sometimes few business people take 4 weeks of time also. Okay. So that
Yeah,
is, that
so
should not be our issue. Whatever time is needed as per process, we have to stick to it. But we just need to make sure that things are moving in the right direction as a Scrum Master. Sorry, Tista, you were saying something?
yeah, so say for example, if they find the issue on the 8th of February, does the development team have to fix it by the 9th?
So actually, see how it works, Tista, this, when this timeline of 3 weeks is decided, right? So
Uh,
this 3 weeks of timeline is decided considering that in mind, then by when actually they will do the whole testing, and
I
by
see.
when they will be actually assigning all the bugs to the developer. So they cannot take the whole time of 3 weeks to perform the testing.
Mhm.
Before 2nd or 3rd February, they have to complete their testing, so that
I-
if any defects or bugs are there, then they get some time to get that fixed. So that is how the time is planned.
Got
So
it.
if they have, 9th February, then they have to 100% complete their testing by 2nd of February.
Mhm.
Okay, that is how. So we always, they always keep 1 or 2 weeks in buffer, so that the planning is not impacting.
Makes sense.
Okay. So now 9th Feb, we are getting, so ideally in corporate world, if 9th Feb is the, testing date completion, then it is expected that sign off will be given by 9th Feb. Okay. So now 9th Feb, if you are getting the sign off, then you will take one more week of time, and then next week, Friday or Saturday, deployment will happen. Normally, any software which is live, which is used by users, that is, the deployment is happening in the weekend time, because that day no one will be using the software. Correct?
Okay. Yes.
So now 17th Feb is decided for the deployment into production environment. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now why I explain whole story. So the development, what is going on for this sprint one? So development is completing on 19th January, but it will be releasing on 17th of February. Correct?
Yep.
Now, how I will represent this in Jira? That also needed, no? So for that one, in the left hand bar, there is option called release.
Mhm.
See it?
Mhm.
Create versioning, it says. Okay, so now I am creating the release. So release is what? Release on which day we saw?
17th.
17th.
Oh,
17th.
the 9th. The 9th, sorry.
The 9th is
9th. It's a
the
testing
test, right?
completion. It
Oh,
will be
testing.
17th.
Yep, sorry. 17th. Yep.
17th Feb. Start date and release date. So start date, see. Oh, oh. Start date is what for sprint? You remember? 19th
Mm,
January getting over, I think 8 January, I believe.
something
So
like
8 January we are starting and release we are doing on 17th of February. Whoever normally driver it should be Scrum Master only. And description so this story is for sprint one is for what?
Print one, user authentication, I believe, right?
User authentication. Okay. So just for explanation, user authentication functionalities. Okay. For example, save it. So what happened? Like release on 17th Feb. This release is created. Status says unreleased. Progress. As of now, we have not associated this release with any of the story. The sprint started 8th of January, but we are releasing on 17th of February. And the description, whatever you write, for this particular release, that will be coming as a description. Now, how I will link this release with the story, that I will show you. Okay. So now I will go to my active sprint. Okay. And this is the story we are talking about, authentication, right? I will click on the first story, Lulu 2. And if I go to Lulu 2, so you will see a field called fix version. Okay.
Mhm.
You see, when I click on it, the release which I created just now, it will be visible there. So I just selected that particular release and release on 17th Feb. So now this story, so technically what I am telling, I have created one release with this name with the release date 17th of February. And then I am linking all the story with this release so that anyone who goes to this story, they can understand on which date this will be released. Okay. So there are three stories where this association should be done. Lulu 2, 3 and 4. So
Mhm.
now I go to Lulu 3 and I do the same activity. This is very simple activity, but how this interprets, that's what we have to just understand. That's it. So now this, sorry. So this story also I link with this release. And now I will go to Lulu 3. Sorry, Lulu 4. And here also the same thing, fixed version and release 17th Feb. Okay. So now what is the change? Let me come back to release again. And now if I click on this release, how come the link is not there? Okay, this story all in to do. Okay, just randomly I am showing something in progress. Done. Okay. Okay. Release. Release on 17th Feb. Totally on 17th Feb. Three link, yes, three issues are linked here. Okay, here it says the linkage. Why it is not coming here then? Let me refresh the page. Okay, I'll open the project again. I go to release. Yeah. So see now here it says some status like green, blue like that. So if I click on it, so it says for this particular release, like there are three issues associated. One is done, and second one in progress, and third one is yet to start. So that's how it shows the progress here. And this is like there you will be tracking it, and this release note, Tejita, you must be knowing release note, right?
Not really, no. But
Okay,
I guess it's just to
nothing.
indicate like what you're
So
doing or
so actually, you have seen in mobile and all, right? So any application, what we are doing, we keep getting the latest updated version for it. That
Mhm.
happens, right?
Yes.
And when we get the notification, we do the update, and then we see one note, what are changes happened in this version.
Mhm.
In normal mobile application, we see it. Have you noticed, Michael, Tejita?
Bugs and stuff as though it says
Correct, yeah. So this the same thing, that is what is called release note. So in the release note, you just have to explain that what all things are coming with this release. So so this release comprises of deployment of user authentication functions, which includes there's no format, the whichever way you want to write to explain about this first epic. In brief, you just write and if there are specific bugs are fixed, or any specific problem statement is fixed, or any, so you can talk at the functional level also. So whatever you write in the description, that will be your release note, and that also that only will be displayed along with this particular release in Jira. That is what is called release notes.
okay, so the release notes is done by the Scrum Master.
Yes, release notes are done by the Scrum Master only, because we track the whole sprint, no? So we know this particular sprint what all things are getting released, and you are tracking it till the release happens. So
That-
we are we have all the possible details with us to write the release note, to be to make it it easier and transparent for all of us. What we can do, we can just share with the business owner before we publish to the whole world, that this is what is release note, and this is what we are planning to publish as a release note. Let us know if it is fine or you want any changes. Normally they do not uh, make any changes. Whatever we go with, that only is accepted. But it is another way, like, to taking their consensus before it goes to the everyone.
Okay.
So this release thing is clear.
Yes.
Okay. So that is how, like, this time cycle we have to understand. So whenever sprints are getting over, it does not go the same day in the release. It takes whatever time, like, is agreed with the team that time, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks to complete the testing and the bug fixing. And then the later week will be the release date. Okay.
Mm.